Fourth place in the AFC East. Now, and here's the caveat that I have been mentioning since the day they pulled the sheet off the schedule. Every team in this division, in addition to playing the other three teams twice, they each play the Chiefs, the Chargers, the Eagles, the Cowboys, and the Giants. 11 games on their schedule are against very good teams because every team in this division is very good. Even though we look at the Patriots and say, what are they right now? They're coached by Bill Belichick, so they're going to be competitive.
Exactly.
So, who finishes? Not who's fourth place on paper, because that would be the Patriots. Who finishes in fourth place, in your opinion, as we stand on the brink of a season with 17 games and injuries and all other factors is going to screw everything up? Where does the dust settle? Who finishes in fourth place?
I'm going to go with the Patriots there. I know they're fourth on paper, and I think they're fourth in reality. Now, is it like, are they so bad that you couldn't envision them being in second? No. Like you said, the whole division's good. But I think when hey, it's, Billy O'Brien back in the fold's a positive for sure. But I think the offensive line is a question mark up there. The defense, can it be really, really dominant? I know the defense can be good, but I guess what I'm saying between the offensive line and, we'll see what the offense and passing game looks like. Is the offense going to be, so good that is it going to be a top offense in football? I just don't see that either. So I don't know. I'm picking the Patriots to be fourth here.
That's the safe pick. That's the chalk pick.
Yeah.
See, this is where this exercise really pisses me off, because I think at some level, you ever play Jenga?
Yeah, I love Jenga.
You play Jenga?
Yeah.
And you get to that point in the game where as you slide that little wooden domino out and you start moving it around, the tower's doing this, and you don't quite know what it's gonna do.
Yeah.
Okay. And sometimes it stays, and sometimes it goes. I feel like the Bills are a Jenga tower right now, as you are, 20 moves in. And I feel like every time you move a domino, it's doing this. And I don't know what they're going to do this year. I could see them finishing in fourth place in the division, but I guarantee you, I'm not putting my name on it now, because if they win the division, win the Super Bowl, I'll never live it down. But I'll tell you what, they could end up finishing in fourth place in the division. I'm not picking them to for this exercise, but I just want folks to understand, I got the feeling they got that Jenga tower wobble, and shit could go sideways for the Bills this year quickly. And in that division, with that schedule, they could end up in last place.
Yeah.
And they could still maybe make the playoffs. Who knows? Maybe all four teams make it. No, that's not going to happen, not with their schedule. But all four teams are good enough. I'll still say the Patriots, because that's the safer pick.
Yeah.
On paper,
okay.
They're the worst team.
Right.
They're the team that only has one quarterback on the roster, for crying out loud.
They got too many questions.
Go Patriots.
Yeah, they got. I think out of all the teams, there's just more questions there.
But you know what's going to happen? They're gonna whip it up into something better than the sum of the parts, like Mike Tomlin does, like
sure.
Bill Belichick has done in the past. And they're going to pick one of those three teams off, I think.
Well, they could.
I just don't know which one.
They could, but I got to see it to believe it before I pick them before the fact. Like, I got to see a few more difference makers on the offensive side of the ball. That's what I was trying to get to end that point there. But your point's real, and so you got Patriots fourth. All right, let's dive into your point. I got the Bills third. I did an exercise. I didn't pick the Bills to go to the playoffs this year. I'm with you.
Giddy up, Josh Allen.
I know. I can't even effing believe it.
The horse is dying under you.
I know, right? Because I was like sitting there, and it hasn't looked great in the preseason. I am still a believer in let's look at the preseason the way the teams look. But then, hey, you get to last Saturday, and you see Josh Allen and you go, oh my gosh, he's so good. And I was already thinking about this exercise. I was like, man, am I really not going to pick the Bills to go to the playoffs with that freaking guy at quarterback? I mean, oh my gosh. But the division, right? You said it right. There's a lot of things that are going on up there. There's a lot of things that have gone on in the off season. We've talked about cream of the crop difference makers. Are there enough there? Right? There's always one or two things we don't see happening in the season, that shocks us. That's the one I'm going to ride with here 2 weeks before the year. Again, I wouldn't be shocked if the Bills were the first or second team in the division. I wouldn't. But I'm going to pick them third, and I'm going to have them missing out on the playoffs in the long run here, just, for some of the reasons we just talked about there.
And look, they should actually be happy with this because last year they were carrying way too much pressure, too many expectations. I remember saying they should be pissed off. Why isn't anybody saying the Bengals? The Bengals just went to the Super Bowl. Why is it on us?
Yeah.
Why isn't anybody saying the Chiefs? Why is it on us? And this year it's not on them. And so I'll agree with you. I'll put the Bills third, although I still think there's a chance that's the team the Patriots pick off and drop to the basement of the AFC East. There's just too much pressure, too much stress, too much going on. And I don't buy their efforts to get us all to say, oh, there's nothing to see there. And this Stephon Diggs, there's something that happened over the weekend. I don't know if you saw this. Simple little play. Stephon Diggs catches a slant and gets tackled instead of taking it to the house. He slams his helmet down on the sideline after the play. Dude, it's a preseason game. It just shows you he can't turn off whatever that is inside of him that takes over, which is part of what makes him great. You can't just talk your way out of feeling that way. So when they get into games that matter, when they have stressful situations, when he's not getting the ball when he thinks he should, do you think because they finally talked it all through in June and everything was okay in June, it's going to be fine in October, November, December, or January? No, the same issue is still there. The same intensity is still there. The same problems are still there. They haven't done anything to solve them. And they had opportunities to get in on some of these other guys that were available. And what'd they do? DeAndre Hopkins, they sat on their hands. They could have brought Dalvin Cook in after Nyheim Hines suffers the season-ending injury. They could have brought him in, diversify the backfield, have Dalvin and James Cook working together. Sat on their hands. And now they get to see Dalvin Cook with the Jets. So I'm with you. Bills in third. And I'm surprised you're. Hey, Chris, I know that we've debated this point in the past, and I know that this take makes folks in Buffalo very nervous. We know how the world works. We know how the NFL works. We know that this is how it goes. We don't relish speculating on the possibility of people losing their jobs. If they don't make the playoffs, they're going to make some changes in Buffalo after this year. If you're right and they don't make the playoffs, there will be some major changes with that team.
I mean, you know, the NFL, like you said, it's brutal. It wouldn't shock me. I would hope that doesn't happen, but you know, yeah, we follow the sport, we live it, we love it. It feels like they missed their window. That's the way it feels. They didn't do much to improve.
But they still have Josh Allen.
I know, but it's like we talked about
it.
But now it's like, wait, there's too many spots where you feel like they got to rebuild, retool. They got to get younger in some of these spots. You know, what they got Leonard Floyd in the offseason. They drafted Dalton Kincaid, right? I mean, that was their improvement to the team. So, I mean, they didn't do a whole lot there. Some of their guys, yeah, it's a year older. Von Miller, hey, he's on the pup. When's he going to be back? What's he going to be when he does get back? We've talked about lack of difference makers on that offensive side of the ball, right? We've talked about how, you know, I've talked to people up there. There's belief, like they had a real belief of all the things we said last year. If Josh Allen doesn't play awesome, we can't win the game. So I just don't see how that changes. And, yeah, between Stephon Diggs, Leslie Frazier, Josh Allen's had some offseason crap to go through. It just seems like there's a lot on their plate, let alone the Dolphins and the Jets have borderline all-star teams. They're stacked, and that's the reason I'm going to pick them to be number 3. And, of course, the rest of the AFC is awesome too.
In addition to the moment where Stephon Diggs slams his helmet down in the final preseason game because he didn't bust a slant route to the end zone, there was that one play from the Steelers preseason game where Josh Allen just didn't look like Josh Allen. And maybe it's an aberration, but there aren't many occasions where I say, boy, that didn't look like Patrick Mahomes, right? There just aren't a whole lot of plays where the best at what they do don't look like that all the time. And you know which one I'm talking about? He was running from
You're talking about the Pittsburgh one backed up on the right
Yeah.
side of his end zone. He tries to run to the left there, and he can't turn the corner, and then he's like, oh, no, right?
No, I'm talking about one where he's like, if you're looking at the screen, bottom of the screen, and he's going up, and he just kind of gets swallowed up, and it's like, I'm not used to seeing that happen. I'm not used to Josh Allen looking like a fish out of water in a situation like that where he didn't have an answer and it was just try not to get eaten by Jaws.
Yeah. They were looking like crap in that Pittsburgh game, to your point.
Yeah.
That's why they played last week. I think McDermott saw that and went, wait, we're playing the Jets. Week 1, we played Pittsburgh, who I know they got a good front, but we didn't block them at all. And the Jets got like just waves of guys that are going to come after us. So I'm sure that scared them. And yeah, it's a lot on him. And I think that's what bothers both of us.
I spent months thinking, you know what, the Jets are going to get their bubble burst that first Monday night because the Bills are going to come to town and remind everybody they're still the Bills. And
I know.
We'll do our picks podcast next week.
You don't like doing it anymore, though. You don't want to do picks.
No,
you don't want to do anything.
I want to just enjoy the game. I want to report on what happens, report on what we know, analyze what occurs, and just enjoy the games. I don't want to have a vested interest. And that's why I don't I don't know why anybody gambles. Just enjoy it. Why can't we just enjoy the game for what it is?
You're frustrated by all these things, and you pick the Minnesota Vikings to root for. Jeez, I don't know what's wrong with you.
All right, there are the odds and the win totals for the AFC East via the DraftKings Sportsbook. Patriots the longest shot. The Bills still the favorites, though, to win it. And they have the highest over-under win total. We have pegged them both at third place. Sorry to our friends if we have any left in Western New York. So, give me your second and first. I mean, we may as well combine it because we know once you say the second who the first is. So, give me the reasoning why you have one over the other in first place and second place.
Well, I just want to say this too. I mean, this is going to be tight, right? I think the AFC, I think we're looking at a year that's going to be tight. Like, there's going to be no 14-3 or 15-2 number 1 seed. I don't see that, right? I could see this being like the 1 seed's 12-5, and there's a bunch of teams. There's another team or two that are 12-5, and they won on tiebreakers. And there's another few teams at 11-6 and 10-7, and 9-8 teams missed the playoffs, right? But my number 1 team will be the Miami Dolphins. I'm going to pick them number 1. I just, I believe in Mike McDaniel, what he's doing there. And really, again, their roster, their team, everything they got there is top notch. The only thing we question at all is the offensive line. We questioned it last year. McDaniel's smart. He knows how to hide it for the most part. He gives you a lot of other things you got to slow down the pass rush for, with the reverses and speed sweeps and everything he does that way. So I'm going to go with them 1. And, of course, the Jets will be my number 2 team for a lot of the same reasons. Defense is phenomenal, and they got Aaron Rodgers. O-line we question, but there's actually more potential than Miami, so that's my 1 and 2, Mike.
I think the key is Tua Tagovailoa.
Yeah, I hear you.
How many games does he play? And we've seen flashes that the jiu-jitsu is working, that the training that he has received and the practice that he has put in to learning how to fall. He's avoided a couple of times having his head strike the turf. He's gone down in a way that suggests he has learned a different habit and he's incorporated it, which is encouraging. If he plays the whole season, and that still is a big if because he's been banged up in other ways. He needs to protect himself in other ways, not just his head. I think they're the best team. They're an elite team. And you're right, 1 seed is going to be hard to do because of the schedule they'll play. 2 games against the Jets, 2 games against the Patriots, 2 games against the Bills, and the Chiefs and the Eagles and the Chargers and the Cowboys and the Giants. You're not going to be the 1 seed, most likely. But they will, I think, win the division, and the Jets will keep it close, and it could easily be the Jets. But I really do think, even though we view it as a tight, great division top to bottom, I do think there is a line of demarcation between Jets, Dolphins, and Bills, Patriots right now.
Agreed.
And you're right about the Bills in that it feels like the sun is setting on this version of the team, and that only is going to create more urgency to get a new sunrise, a new dawn, while you still have years left of useful high-end performance by Josh Allen. And I think this is the year it's really going to come crashing down. That Jenga tower is going to fall. Maybe not all the way to 4th place, but far enough when we see what the Jets and the Dolphins have this year that people are going to say, well, we just thought it was inevitable the Bills were going to get back to the Super Bowl. And this collection, this group, this is going to be their last chance. And we both agree they're not going to make it.
Yeah, there's too many things that, I think I question. And just to be able to sustain life with Josh Allen being the main part of the running game, right? Of course, the playmaker in the pass game. Still, I think, like a lack of a weapon in the pass game other than Diggs, like we've talked about, right? You can't even compare them in a lot of positions, at least in my opinion, compared to the Jets or the Dolphins in that way. I mean, we can go to some positions and go, man, the Jets and Dolphins got like all-stars right here, and the Bills, like, you know, some people off the street won't even know who plays these positions for their football team, and that's where, yeah, they've separated themselves.
Question. We got to take a break, but I don't like talking about this because I don't want to be accused of putting a jinx on anyone, but between the Jets and the Dolphins, which team is better situated to withstand an injury to the starting quarterback, short-term or long-term?
Ooh. Man, that's a really good one. You know, I think right now I'm going to go with the Jets. I am. I think with Zach Wilson, kind of the resurgence and Rodgers there, even if Rodgers was hurt, he's going to be there to help Zach Wilson out. I'd feel better about that. You know, Mike White, I do like Mike White. I don't mean that, but, you know, he's been banged up. He didn't get a lot of reps in this new offense. When he did play, it wasn't great. And we saw Streveler play really damn good. And, you know, so that's where I'll go Zach Wilson.
Well, they also have Skylar Thompson, who looked pretty good in the preseason as well.
Did I say I said Streveler? I meant to say Skylar Thompson. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Instead of
I didn't even. Yeah, Streveler's available if anybody with maybe only one quarterback on their roster would like to sign. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.